Good afternoon, welcome to the Alteryx Football Phone-in. We're coming to you live from London. My name's Luke Miners, and as ever, we have Will Davis, numbers whiz kid, over here on the laptop. We have a great show lined up for you today. We've got a few callers who we spoke to a bit earlier, who've got some interesting ideas to bring to the table, and we really want to have some great discussion around the upcoming, or the current World Cup, and some shots we've had already, Will, haven't we?
Yeah, been a great tournament so far, some great results, games going on as we speak. I'm really excited to get the views of our callers today. Now, for anybody that hasn't joined before, amazing to think that some of you won't have done that. We'll run you through the concept in a bit more detail. So myself and Luke here have access to quite a bit of football data, which we're going to help use to prove or disprove what our callers are talking about. So we've got information ranging from all of the international fixtures, managerial records, world rankings data, and even previous tournament experience. So from that, hopefully, we'll be able to answer their questions, see what views they've got, and as ever, sure there'll be some pretty strong opinions coming in.
We've got any historic weather data?
No weather data, but it's pretty hot in Qatar, I'm told.
Okay, cool. So as Will said, we've got some great callers lined up, and I think we've actually got Joe on the line. Joe on the line right now. Joe.
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Joe.
You can hear me. Okay, fantastic. Can I first just say I'm your biggest fans. This is always the wonder of my week when I get to see you both or hear you both. And I can I give a shout out to Stan and to Steve in the team?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Stan, Steve, lovely to have you on. Really nice to hear from you. Joe, where are you speaking to you from?
I'm from Nottingham.
Okay, Forest fan?
No, well, actually, I'm from Southend originally, so Southend.
Okay.
Southend all the way.
Good to
Shrimpers.
Good to make that clear. Cool, Joe. What makes you cool? Have you been enjoying the World Cup?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Hopefully my work aren't listening in, but I've been able to watch a lot of it so far.
I'm pretty sure that's the case for a lot of us. So Joe, what makes you call us in?
Well, Welsh Dave has been saying down the pub that they're going to beat us this year, as due to his spreadsheet, he's saying that on neutral ground, Wales beat us more often than we beat Wales. And I know that you guys are whizzes with data, so I wanted to see if he's right, because I can't have it. Can we have that? Do we really lose to them on neutral ground?
I don't know what your mate Welsh Dave. I don't know where he's from, but he's clearly got a bit of a biased opinion. You telling me he brings his spreadsheet down to the pub and is
he's shown me some of his formulas and his pivot tables, and I think there just must be an error in it.
No, there's no chance there's errors in those Excel workbooks. No danger, especially when Welsh Dave is wielding that Excel magic. To be honest, it seems like absolute poppycock, the idea that anything other than English victory on Tuesday, the 29th, is likely. But Will, have you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, really great to hear that other people are taking their analysis down the pub. I often get ridiculed in my scenarios going down, so actually a bit of sympathy for Welsh Dave here, despite some questionable opinions from him.
Yeah.
Fortunately, as I mentioned at the start, we've got data on all international fixtures, includes the various locations that they've taken place. So at the moment, I'm just looking to minimize the data down. So we're just looking at the England-Wales games. We're going to take a look across the different locations.
Do they actually record Welsh historic fixtures?
It turns out they do. And it's not just because Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought the Welsh club. Apparently, people are also interested in the national team.
They did have Ryan Giggs, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the less said about him. So, Joe, in that point, was Welsh Dave, is he just looking at neutral grounds, or was there particular? I'm not sure how in depth his spreadsheet went. Was there?
I think it was just home. His was home away, so like Wales, England, and then neutral. So anywhere else, he didn't differentiate where.
Okay.
Interesting. So just to fill the audience in, I'm sure we get to see some insight into this in a second. But Will is quickly pulling together an Alteryx workflow with the data sets he mentioned. He's currently captioning a container tool around Welsh Dave's analysis. So yeah, we're filtering out the data that is necessary. Will's just sharing his screen. We're gonna see some aggregation around the fixtures relevant to this particular point.
Perfect. So Joe, obviously dialing in, you're probably not going to be able to see this. I'm sure you're off your Nokia at the moment, but for everybody else watching online, they'll get
Off his what?
Off his old Nokia.
Oh, off his Nokia. I thought he said off his rocker.
Could well be.
I think he's off his rocker as well.
So again, for everybody's benefit, down at the bottom, we've got information on all historical fixtures. So going back to 1872. So for future callers' reference, the tournaments, the cities they were involved in, the various different countries. So what we've done in the first instance is filtered it to all of the times that England have played Wales. So over 104 times. Sure, some statisticians out there keen on the 1879 fixture that took place back in London. Now, not sure what Dave's analysis went into. So what I've actually tried to do is break it into 3 different categories. The first one was to look at the overall records of the 2 teams. So in this case, we're saying that 21 times they've drawn, England has won 68 and Wales have only won 15 times. So
come on, England.
Once we get to the locations. For the next part, we were able to sort this by all of the different countries. So in terms of a neutral venue, there's only been one occasion, that was in France. One of England's better displays at a tournament, Sturridge scoring in the last minute as England went on to win there.
Interesting. When was that?
The game in France.
If you dive back to this filter tool, can we sort the data for that French fixture?
Yeah, so we can go, where am I? Country, and I can filter this. And we can type in France into here. Perfect, 2016.
Oh, nice, okay. Oh, the Euros, of course.
So for Welsh Dave's example, so yeah, in France, the only, I guess, neutral country that they played in, 1 win for England, Wales haven't won any. It's not neutral, but in Wales, they do tend to perform a little bit better, England not winning as many games. But maybe where we've been able to take this an extra step further, and I'm not sure how far Dave's spreadsheet goes, is then looking across the different cities that have taken place. So perhaps looking at those that aren't at all neutral, so Cardiff and Wrexham, potentially strongholds. So wherever we see loss here, we've defined it as a Wales win. So we're very much focused on the England side of our analysis at this point.
Right. So we're going to have to spin these headers round for Dave if Joe is going to take this back to the pub. Tomorrow?
Sorry, am I here? Can you still hear me? I've been talking. I think it must have been the tunnel. Well, that's fantastic news. So I'm hearing that Dave is wrong.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Gonna love that when it comes to little kickers on Sunday. Emrys and Dave are not going to be able to live that down.
Well, what we can do is we can package up this workflow, and you can show him how to do his analysis properly in future as well, Joe.
So it must have been a manual error or something on his part.
I'd imagine so.
Manual error, bias coming into it, all of the above factors that tend to influence these decisions.
Yeah. Forget about what he's been drinking since 10 o'clock that morning as well. Cool, Joe. Well, thanks very much for phoning in. Really appreciate the insight you brought. I mean, it's a ludicrous thing to even think about considering bringing to the table. But it's lovely to hear from you, mate.
Amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Cheers, pal. Speak to you soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Should we go to our next caller?
Yes, we've got Rebecca calling in. I can't remember where she said. She said she was from Scotland somewhere or something like that. I can't remember. Rebecca, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me properly?
Where? Yeah, I can. Where are you calling from?
I'm actually calling from Stockholm here. So it's almost Scotland, but it's a bit less rainy.
Sorry, of course. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing quite well. It's quite a lot of snow over here, so I'm absolutely freezing. But we have some snow people outside, which is great.
Got some snow people?
Yeah.
That's exciting. Great. Okay, hopefully the snow people won't distract you from today. But I hear you've got something that you want to bring to Will's attention.
Yeah, I'm actually quite bitter at the moment. Obviously, Sweden isn't in the World Cup, and it's only the second best team in the Nordics that is representing. So I'm not obviously looking forward to see them lose against France on Friday, and probably now with the draw against Tunisia be the bottom of the group. So if Sweden wasn't actually snitched of the spot in the World Cup, I think without a doubt they would have won
Yeah,
the group and won against France. I definitely think that would be the
sure.
case.
So just to you're talking about Denmark, are we?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Right.
our enemy.
You're saying that if Sweden were to have been representing the Scandinavian countries instead of Denmark, they would definitely win the World Cup.
Oh, maybe I said that wrongly. Should we stop?
No. I mean, it's fine as a statement. We can't prove or disprove that because they're not even being asked to participate. But I understand that. What was? But with Denmark obviously competing, I think it was a 0-0 draw the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most exciting of games.
Some of these group games aren't. But what did you have to say about them?
So I definitely think that they're gonna lose against France,
Yeah.
and probably now with the draw as well. I think they're gonna probably be the bottom of the group.
Okay.
I don't think they have any chance. Like, look at the way they were playing against Tunisia. It wasn't a proud moment for the Nordics.
Yeah, I can see that. Are you rooting for the Danes or not?
Well, I was until
You saw the performance.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Will, I know you're quickly scurrying away and building a work. Can you remind me what the Danes are in a group with?
Denmark, Tunisia, France, and Australia.
Great. You've been working hard recently.
Putting in the hours.
Yes,
it sounds like Rebecca might be a bit bitter. Is the word I'm looking for here.
Well, let's see if we can prove her emotions correct or incorrect. Will, if you don't have any data that could help her out here, could you?
Yeah. So what we're going to do, and I'll start sharing my screen in a second, but using the international fixtures we've got is compare Denmark's record with France. Maybe to predict that result, we can maybe take a look and see who's been better against the French over time, the Danes and the Swedes. What we can also do is add in some groupings so we can focus just on the Nordics.
Right.
Start to get a view of who the best Nordic countries are, perhaps in previous tournaments. So this idea that Sweden would be better if they qualified, which by nature feels a bit wrong given they haven't qualified. But we'll run with it, and we'll see if they were better in those tournaments.
You never know about these qualifications, though. I read an interesting stat yesterday that the winner of the South American champions have already lost, the African champions have already lost, and the European champions didn't even qualify. So maybe the Swedes should have been there and they would win. But we're just sharing your screen. I
definitely feel by that logic that I definitely think I'm correct. Like.
Yeah, well, you would think you're correct, Rebecca. Otherwise, you wouldn't have called in, would you?
Cool. So, Rebecca, I'll take you through. You can give me your feedback and thoughts as we go through. So, starting with Denmark and France. So, exactly as we did, if you're listening before with Joe and the Welsh Dave opinion, just focusing on Denmark and France's performances. So, 16 games over time. Pretty even, actually. Denmark winning 6 times, the French winning 8 times, 2 draws. If we're to break that down across tournaments, most often meeting in friendlies, when actually the Danes tend to lose quite a bit in the friendlies, perform a little bit better. World Cup, it's been fairly even over time. So 3 games, 1 draw, 1 loss, 1 win.
Wow.
May, if you're going on historical data, make it a bit hard to pull out.
Yeah, I mean, you're not building a logistic regression on that sort of data, are you, Will?
No, exactly. I wouldn't be building one anyway. I struggle with that sort of stuff. But that's
a bit surprising.
So Rebecca's joined into our other calls, seen some of our challenges. But what I'm going to do is just change the team in our filter to now see how Sweden would compare in that scenario. So 23 games that have taken place over time. Looks like the French actually performed better over time. So historically, 12 wins. So when we see loss here, that's relating to France. Again, if we're to look at World Cup performance, they've never actually played each other in a World Cup.
You have to qualify for the World Cup to play. Really.
Exactly. That's probably what's going to be holding them back. But in the qualification, relatively even again, the French tend to come out on top a little bit more when we're seeing that some loss.
Kicking guy down when she's already down.
However, we might have some good news for you, Rebecca, here. So what we've done, we've grouped all the Nordic nations together. We've added a new variable in, so we've got that region specified. So now I can focus on all games that just included teams from the Nordic region. We've then split that down to any World Cup appearance, and then we've compared their performance over time. So actually Sweden played in the most World Cup games, so then by nature actually have quite a number of wins. So 20 wins out of their 51 games. Iceland never won a game, Denmark have won 9, and Norway only 2. So maybe a bit of better news from a World Cup perspective.
Yeah.
Where it gets even more interesting is that from our second data set, where we've got all of the previous tournaments, both World Cup and European Championships, hosts, winners, runners-up, is that actually Sweden have performed incredibly well. So they're a World Cup team. Again, we're going to have to exclude the fact that they're not here this year, so this won't change.
They were good in 1938. Were you around then, Rebecca, back in the 30s?
No, but my grandparents were.
So for the grandparents, Sweden getting to semi-finals in 38, 50, and 1994, as well as and then in the World Cup runners-up in 1958. Weirdly, the Danes are a European Championship powerhouse. So actually reaching semis, they won it in 92 when it was held in Sweden. So a real mix between the Nordic.
We don't really talk about that, to be honest, in my family.
Great. And you couldn't, because obviously Rebecca was actually interested in well, she said, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but she said that the Danes were going to lose their group, right?
Yeah.
So could we very quickly just have a look? We obviously looked at Sweden against France. Could we just do that? So it's Denmark against, I would suggest Australia, maybe the weakest team in that group.
Yeah, on world rankings.
Yeah.
If memory serves.
Let's have a quick look at that, because they really need to.
It's only 4 games. We can maybe take a look at all of the fixtures. So it all happened fairly recently, between 2007 and 2018. Denmark, it looks as if have won 2 of them, drawn 1 and lost 1. So the only time they played each other in a World Cup before was in 2018. It was a 1-1 draw in Russia.
Wow. Well, we can look forward to that fixture then, assumably sometime next week.
Yeah. Maybe there's a bit of hope for the Danes, but I'm not very optimistic, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Rebecca, I don't really think that you can hold much hope around in the game against France, especially seeing as they look pretty promising against Australia the other evening. But I certainly would hold hope that maybe you could possibly qualify as runner-up in that group. When I say you, we're talking about the Swedes or the Nordic nations in general.
Yeah, well, I better hope so.
Great.
Would be tragic otherwise.
you go enjoy the snow people outside, and we will hopefully catch up with you again. Thanks very much for calling, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Up next, I think we've got James. We've got James on the line, calling from within the UK borders. Again, I've forgotten what I was told in the earpiece.
Gentlemen, how are we?
James, nice for you to join us.
Yeah, all good. I'm calling from London, Luke, London town.
Good man. London born and bred?
Luke, no, I'm not. I'm from Southampton. And Luke, I have to tell you, I've been sick of hearing you two peddling this notion that England are going to win the World Cup. For weeks, I've been listening to this. Your callers, keep hyping it up. And I'll tell you why England aren't going to win the World Cup. Right. Gareth Southgate is not a good enough manager to beat top 10 ranked teams.
Interesting. So, I mean, it's been said before, James. I understand that. You do need some tactical nous to be able to, pick a decent tactical starting 11. Is there like a particular element of his managerial capability that you're not impressed with?
Tactics is one thing, but let me start with this. He's the luckiest international manager who's ever existed. Think about the 2 draws we've had in the last World Cup and the last Euros. We look at the last World Cup, we played Panama. I didn't know they played football. Tunisia, we saw them play the other night, can't score a goal. We beat Colombia, average. Sweden, average. We lost to Belgium and we lost to Croatia, the first 2 decent teams. So the first 2 teams that were any good, he lost to. Go to the Euros. all right, we beat Croatia. They're on the decline now. Didn't we just see them draw 0-0 earlier today? They can't score a goal.
Right, but they're runners up the other year.
Yeah, but they're in the decline, Luke. They're in the decline. I'm telling you. We beat Czech Republic. We drew with Scotland. And then we beat a bad Germany. We beat Ukraine, Denmark, which Will's already mentioned was some dodgy refereeing. And as soon as we got to a decent team in the final, we lost to Italy.
But that was close. That was a close game anyway. I mean, we could have taken that.
It was a close game. And then you come on to the tactics. You asked me about the tactics. I think in both games, Gareth got outmaneuvered. He'd rather pick 7 right backs in a squad than actually play any attackers. We've got some of the best attacking players in the world, and he's playing, 4 or 5 right backs in the same team. So, I just think we've got a manager now. He steadied the ship when he came in, but when, you're playing against the best teams in the world, he's getting outthought, outmaneuvered.
England are one of the best teams in the world, James. Look at the rankings.
Look at the rankings, yeah, but look at the teams he's beat. We haven't won a competitive game in 12 months. It's true, Luke. You're shaking your head. I can see you.
we like to pretend we're not biased on this pod, but that's really rocked us to the core.
James, I don't know what you've been doing today, but this is absolute ridiculous. Will, can you pull some numbers just to shut this man up?
Yeah, can I have a look? Whilst we're doing it, we've got the international data, so not the latest, but a commanding performance again from England on Monday in a tournament where some of the big managers, the big teams already look to be faltering. Some would say you create your own luck with the group draws as he goes through. He's beating what's ahead of him.
All I'm going to say is Iran. It was Iran.
Mate. Yeah. If you want to talk about good managers, Carlos has got a great background.
It's got a great background, but they don't have any good players.
I don't know. That guy up front, what was his name? He was decent.
Taremi? World class, either way.
I'll tell you this. I'm a Southampton fan. I'm used to watching bad teams and bad managers. I know a bad manager when I see one. He's not gonna get past the quarterfinals. I'm telling you this now. We'll draw France in the quarterfinals, and he will lose because he cannot beat top 10 rated teams.
Okay. Well, a very passionate James dialing in from London. Clearly wanting the best for his country, which we can all get behind. So what we've been able to do, and hopefully this will help with your analysis as well, is we've got all of the international fixtures and managers' past performance. So in this case, we're just going to focus on Gareth Southgate. He's been manager for 73 games now, or 74. We don't have the data for Iran currently fed in. So what we've been looking to do in this instance, Luke, is we've also got data on all the world rankings going back to 1993 for every country. So what we're going to do, we filtered to just Gareth. We've got England's ranking at the time and the opposition team's ranking at the time.
Great.
So out of our data set here, it means we've got a team rank and an opposition rank. I know, James, you mentioned you're interested in kind of us versus top 10 teams. We've looked to maybe take this 2 ways of when England have played teams that are ranked higher than them versus when they've ranked lower. And we've also done some grouping. So on the left-hand side, when they're in the top 10, top 20, top 40, and anything above.
Some really nice nested ifs there, Will.
Thanks, mate. That's the real winner of the tournament. So if we start taking a look at the opposition groupings, playing against the top 10, and this is in all competition, 19 fixtures, he has only won 6 of them. So win rate, not so great. The win ratios do tend to improve here as the rankings start to drop, winning 23 of the 26 against anybody ranked 41 and above. James,
above, yeah. Right, I think we know how rankings work.
Yeah. James, how does that make you feel? Do you feel vindicated here?
Yeah, the guy's a pretender. He's a politician. He's the FA's poster boy. He's had his moment in the sun. Let's get a real manager in now who knows football. Bring back Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
Sounds like James has been on the pints of wine as well this morning. So then the second piece, and again, maybe to take back to feed in, looking at the higher or lower. So 12 times we played teams ranked higher than us. Maybe a testament to Gareth's achievement that we're not often playing teams ranked higher because we're ranked so highly ourselves. However, of those 12 games, we have only won 2 of them. 5 draws, but 5 losses, perhaps. Just as importantly, unsurprisingly then, our win record against teams ranked lower does tend to be better. Now, I would like to hazard a guess that would be similar for many of the teams. So maybe if
James, have you got an example of a team that's managed by a good manager, in your opinion, in your strong opinion?
Oh, that's a great question on the international stage.
Yeah, like if you could pick a manager, Sam Allardyce is not, we're not going to get
Deschamps of France.
he's
won a World Cup. Serial winner as a player, serial winner as a manager. Would love to see the comparison there.
Sure.
Lovely. So the benefit here, we can just feed in that data and we can immediately jump to the end. So in the same example, so Didier Deschamps against the top 10, win ratio of about 50%. So 30 times they've played teams in the top 10, 115 of them.
A bit better than Arsenal, I think.
It's a touch better. But as with all teams, starts to improve as the rankings fall down. Their win percentage starts to drop.
Looks to me like they've lost far more games against, poorly ranked teams than England had under Gareth Southgate.
Exactly. I mean, James, who would you be getting in instead of Southgate in this example then?
It's a tough question,
James, if you're going to lose easy games, then you're not, and there's nothing you can do there. I mean, Southgate obviously might.
But Luke, I care about the games that count. I don't care about watching us beat San Marino 5-0 every match.
James, you need to get to the final to be able to win that.
Yeah, the serious games, they come in the round of 16, the quarters. We're going to get out of the group all the time.
As an England fan, James, I'd rather go through to the final and then have a 1 in 3 chance.
Peter out.
1 in 3 chance of winning that game than lose and drop out of the group stages because we can't beat a team ranked 41 and above.
Look, guys, I'm telling you, we're not making it past the quarters. I'd love to say I'm wrong. I think the data proves me right here. I think, unfortunately, England are gonna bow out early.
I mean, I think you're probably on the face of it, James. If we can have Didier Deschamps, we'd be better off. And I don't think Sam Allardyce is going to do a better job than Gareth Southgate.
Cool. All right, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks very much, James. Good to hear from you. Will, great stuff on pulling those numbers together. I mean, I think you really did James a good service there. I think it's hard to hear, but realistically, it is going to be tough when we get to the later stages of the competition.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as a staunch believer in Southgate and the project that he's running, tournaments are tough. England still look strong, still look up for it. So let's not let that past record diminish our hope and optimism after those first round of games.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Will, as always, been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much to all our callers this evening. It's been really great. Good of you to pull your Alteryx up as you always do. Now we're in the studio. I mean, you can leave it behind when we go to the pub later on. But thanks very much, Will, for all your hard work.
No problem. Cheers, Luke.
Cheers, everyone.